I think it's like an important thing to explain to people, like what the difference is. No, they are absolutely not the same thing. Chromebooks and Windows laptops and Mac laptops are all physically laptops. They all have screens and keyboards and they do the things that laptops do. But Chromebooks run Chrome OS, which is an operating system that's built on the Chrome browser. So it means that you can do anything that you can do on a browser. You can check your email, you can check social media, you can work in Google Docs and spreadsheets and PowerPoints, watch Netflix, you can take Zoom calls, you can do all of those sort of things on a Chromebook. So Chromebooks first started coming out in 2011, and they got a reputation very early on for being crappy and not being able to do very much. And around 2014, they actually stopped being super cheap and super crappy. Manufacturers started making ones that were fast enough. Most of the things that you wanted to do could be done in a browser. And then a couple years ago, actually, Google added Android apps into Chromebooks. So that kind of fills a bunch of holes of very specific things that you weren't able to do on Chrome OS before. So some of the limitations of Chromebooks are that you can't run specific programs that you can run on Windows or Mac. For example, iTunes, Photoshop, or specific Windows games, you're not going to be able to run those. Chromebooks do have Chrome extensions and Android equivalents that fill some of these holes, but there are definitely certain apps that you straight up cannot run on a Chromebook. Chromebooks also tend to have little local storage, and they rely on cloud storage provided by Google, and they work best with an internet connection, even though there are some offline modes for Gmail and Google Docs. Chromebooks tend to be cheaper than Windows laptops for similar specs. And whenever you have a similarly priced Chromebook and a similarly priced Windows laptop, the Chromebook is typically going to be faster, it's going to be better made, it's going to have longer battery life, and it's typically going to be more portable than these cheap Windows laptops. I would say most people are solidly served by a Chromebook. It'll do everything that you need it to do. But if you play a lot of games, you probably don't want a Chromebook unless you're willing to stream them through one of the game streaming services that are becoming more popular right now. If you need a specific app that your school requires and they don't recommend that you use a Chromebook, then you probably want a Windows laptop or a Mac. And if you're like a heavy video or photo editor, you probably don't want a Chromebook. So if you're looking at a $500 Chromebook and you're looking at a $500 Windows laptop, that Chromebook is probably going to be faster in the things that you use it for. Cheap Windows laptops tend to only have 4 gigs of memory, and that's a huge limitation on Windows, whereas Chrome OS is a lighter operating system and it runs better on less RAM. And those Chromebooks also tend to be better made, they have better build quality, they have longer battery life, and they tend to be smaller and more portable. The Lenovo Chromebook Flex 5 is our top pick for Chromebooks because it's inexpensive at around $400. It's fast enough for the things that most people need to use a laptop for. It has a great keyboard and trackpad, and it also has a handy touchscreen. It's small and light, and the battery life is decent, but it's not the best compared to some of our other picks. So our upgrade pick is the Google Pixelbook Go, and it costs around $650. Chromebooks have historically a terrible rap as being cheap and slow. This one, however, is smaller and lighter than pretty much every other Chromebook I've ever tested. It has an excellent keyboard and trackpad, and it's about as well made as a MacBook Air or Windows Ultrabook, but it costs hundreds of dollars less. It's my personal favorite Chromebook that I tested, and it's actually what I used to cover the Consumer Electronics show earlier this year. So the Acer Chromebook 712 is our more durable pick for kids. It costs around $300. It's fast enough, which is a really big deal for such a cheap Chromebook. Most Chromebooks in this price range are miserably slow. And it's extra durable. It has bumpers and a spill-resistant keyboard. It can handle up to about 1.5 cups of water dumped into it. Wirecutter editor Thorin Klosowski has actually seen the kids that he tutors dump water into the previous version of this laptop, and we did the same thing for photos for our guide, and it's still working. But it does have a terrible low-resolution screen that looks faded and washed out, so that's the trade-off for such a cheap option. If you have any questions about Chromebooks or laptops in general, please leave them in the comments below and we'll get to them when we can. Like and subscribe.